Yo, it's MTV. My name is Mike Newton. This is my 90s themed Airbnb. Welcome to my crib. Come on in, let's take a look. So, we're going to start here on floor one. You can see we got some authentic 90s merch. We got the posters on the wall. For this Airbnb, I'm trying to really capture the vibe of the 90s. The Matrix, Pokemon, Blockbuster. What about VHS tapes? I know everybody probably watched Rudy as a kid. VHS tape collection. I even got the N64 collection that we're still looking at busting out to give it that authentic 90s vibe feel. Who played Zelda? What was your favorite Zelda? Star Wars Pod Racing? Anybody? All the 90s VHS collection that you have here, working VCR so that they can watch it on the big screen. But I also got this little special, 75 bucks for this TV right here, still in working condition with a remote. I want you to get close so you can listen to this thing power on, because I hope you can pick it up. I hope you can pick it up. These old TVs, when they turned on, they had that crackle of static and that electric hue. It even staticked up on my hair. Oh man, I missed that sound. I missed that sound with these old tube TVs. And of course, since this thing is in Seattle, I had to pick a couple of movies to leave out, and I thought, why not Sleepless in Seattle? And of course, one of my favorite 90s flicks, Forrest Gump. The other nice thing about this cabin in the woods 90s themed Airbnb that I got going on are the fantastic views. So we're totally surrounded by trees in this little neighborhood. There's 3 duplexes side by side. I own the one in the middle. There's hiking trails that go directly out my backyard. In fact, let's take a step outside on the deck and take a look at it. So the hiking trails start right back behind this bush. You can't see the entrance. I actually probably should put out like a little post or something so people can find it easy. In classic Pacific Northwest fashion, it is drizzling. Not a hard rain, not no rain, just enough rain to be annoying or scenic if you're visiting. But anyways, gorgeous area that we live in here. Green and beautiful all year round. If you walk 30 seconds that way, we have the lake access. If you go 45 minutes that way, we have Mount Rainier, which is a beautiful mountain in Washington. We have the amazing view of it from the lake. 45 minutes north of Seattle, 20 minutes west is Tacoma. This place is centrally located so that if you want to stay in the Pacific Northwest, you have access to skiing, Seattle, Tacoma, the lake, the mountain, everything you could think of. Let's go back inside. In case you thought I forgot something else that was a classic of the 90s, we do have a cassette playing boombox here. But let's see. A bunch of extra VHS cassette tapes over here, and I do have on order a collection of cassette tapes. If you can think of anything that I should get, specific music, obviously I'm hoping for Nirvana. I'd love to get some Pearl Jam, maybe even a little Green Day, maybe even a little Eminem, because he was popular in the 90s and the early 2000s, and I listened to him as a kid. So the whole unit does come fully furnished. If anybody remembers these leaf tables where you actually could like add length to stretch these things out, I got one of these. We had one of these when I was a kid. I thought that the green chair really kind of went with the vibe of old school. Anyways, fully furnished. There is a full kitchen over here behind the beautiful TV. When was the last time you made a call from a landline? Did anybody have the extender, like when you were a kid and you didn't want to sit here and have your phone call in the family room with mom and dad around, so you would get an extension cord for your phone so you could walk it down the hall and hide under a couch somewhere and talk to the girl you were going out with? That wasn't just me, hopefully. Anyways, full kitchen. It's actually pretty darn big, so this could act as a midterm rental, and I will market it to insurance companies who want to place a family, because it's a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. We got a nice kitchen, fully stocked with everything that you could need, all the plates, all the cooking utensils. I wanted to make sure that they could throw in a baked pizza into the stove if needed. Again, you just can't beat these views right here. And oftentimes there's like deer that come and sleep right in the yard. So we get that all the time. Come down here. There is a full washer dryer. I hate when I stay at an Airbnb and I can't do laundry. So full access to laundry. And then we have the second bathroom down here. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do for this Airbnb, I'm actually going to keep the garage for myself for storage. So I'm going to throw in an electronic locking mechanism here so that they can't get out. But they'll have access to the entire rest of the unit. I'm going to keep the space there for extra storage. Small bathroom in there. Let's go take a look upstairs. Oh, before we go upstairs, did you know some of the things that Airbnb will ask you about when you make your listing? They'll be like, okay, do you have children's books and children's toys? And I was like, yeah, I do. In fact, why don't we take a couple books like who remembers reading the Magic Treehouse series as a kid? And my personal favorite, Goosebumps, R.L. Stine, quality. I picked only the ones that I read as a kid when I was at Goodwill getting these books. We got a little Cat in the Hat. Anybody remember A Bad Case of Stripes? Great books. And then my son's personal favorite thing in the entire unit is the lava lamp. And he learned the hard way, you're not supposed to shake them because if you shake them, you'll destroy them. So his birthday's tomorrow. I bought him one for his room. He's going to flip out. The lava lamp. And Airbnb not only asks about children's books and children's toys, they ask about board games now. And we did go buy a handful of classic board games. If you can think of any that I might have missed, let me know. We've got Risk, Battleship, Clue, Sorry, Operation, and Yahtzee. If there's any other board games you like playing as a kid, please let me know. Now let's go upstairs. So as we're going up the stairs, you might notice some of these sticky stars that you used to put on the ceiling as a little kid. Now, unfortunately, it's not going to pick it up if we were to shut the lights off, but I lined this hallway, which is super dark in the middle of the night, with all these stars, just to give it that final 90s vibe feel. All right, coming up the stairs, we have 3 bedrooms. In this one right here, I figured, okay, what's better than going to a yard sale and getting an old bed frame from the 90s? So I got that. It's a queen, and I'm only at 5 of the Harry Potter books. I need to find number 6 and 7 in paperback to complete the set. I threw a couple of decorative like VHS Disney tapes. We got Aladdin and the Return of Jafar, classic 90s movies I watched as a kid. Each room has a queen bed except for the master. The master has a king-sized bed. At first, I was like, well, maybe I should put bunk beds in one, right? You'll be able to sleep a few more people. People put their kids in there. But I was actually advised by somebody who's a friend of mine who has a very successful Airbnb. He says, no, do a queen, because if couples come and they stay here as a group of friends, they'll want the queen, not bunk beds. And parents will just make their kids sleep in the same bed together anyway, so whatever. Also, another little fun tip thing right here. These little, my son enjoyed putting these together. These little like storage cubby things, instead of a dresser, $50 gets you enough to build 2 of these. They just snap together. You can throw extra linens, clothes. Still got to get the hangers in here. This thing just listed yesterday. For the bathroom, I thought this thing had a 90s vibe to it, so I picked it up at Goodwill. Other than that, I just went with a colorful shower curtain. I'm not the most decorative person myself, so I didn't know how to decorate a 90s themed shower. Coming in here, again, fantastic views. Look at this little bad boy, little radio alarm clock down here. Let's see if I can get it to work. I like it. More classic reading, Frog and Toad, The Berenstain Bears, and another Goosebumps book, of course. Curious George and The Lion King, in case they didn't get the idea that they should watch a VHS tape downstairs. As we look out this window right here, again, fantastic views. So here's the whole front of the house. And you can see, like I said, totally enclosed by trees on all sides except for these 3 houses. It's like a 70-yard driveway out to the main road, and then you can drive down to the lake. It's a nice, secluded neighborhood. Really gives you that vibe of being in the Pacific Northwest. I think it looks gorgeous. Everybody tells me it looks gorgeous. Hopefully, we can get some takers to rent this place out. Now, of course, even though it is 90s themed, I'm not going to let people just suffer and not have access to Wi-Fi or a smart TV or something like that. So even though it's against their best interest and they should avoid watching Netflix just for one night, there is still a smart TV. They still can watch Netflix, but why watch Netflix when you could do something like play a little bit of Mario? So this little emulator right here, it's a Super Nintendo Entertainment System emulator. Comes pre-downloaded with like 600 different games, including one of everybody's fan favorites, which is, of course, Super Mario Bros. How long has it been since you've seen that? Now don't judge me for not being as good as I wish I was. This game came out before I was born, and I'm 32. This game was, I believe, 1987. So I do actually have a couple of different rental packages that I'm gonna let people rent. One of those packages is gonna be the lake access package. Kayaks, paddle boards, inner tubes, life jackets, all that type of stuff. Whatever they wanna rent, they'll be able to have access to. Another one of the packages that I'm gonna offer is the video game package. So the NES emulator was only 40 bucks. I'm not super concerned if they were to break it or damage it. I don't care about leaving that in here. What I do care about are some of these. So these right here, the Nintendo 64, these games will go for like 50 bucks a pop online right now. These controllers are very expensive. They're hard to find. And if you do find them, do they even work? Are they even in good condition? So the Nintendo 64 stuff, the PlayStation 1 games that I have in here, these are the types of things where I'm going to make it so if people want them, so that they want to relive their childhood and play some old games, they can. But they got to rent those out separately because I don't want to just leave it over here because anybody could take this and just throw it in a package and go home, or throw it in a backpack and go home. And I don't want to lose this stuff. The stuff is expensive and hard to find. And there's no N64 emulators out there yet. So we're going to try to keep it where we don't lose that type of stuff. Anyways, this is my Airbnb. For those of you who know me, I've been investing in real estate for the last 5 years this November, so about another month or two. I've house hacked this duplex right here for the last 5 years. I've had a long-term tenant in here for that entire time. A couple months ago, they moved out, and I was encouraged by a friend of mine who lives in the area and has an Airbnb to try short-term rentals. He said that he makes about $5,000 to $8,000 a month. So I decided, why not? Why not give it a shot? It did suck to have to furnish the entire thing, not knowing if it was going to work out in the end, because I've spent at this point about $7,500 furnishing this place with all of the furniture, all of the couches, paying to paint the place, everything I had to do to get it cleaned up. And then, of course, there's the lost rent because I didn't just turn around and re-rent it to somebody else. This thing's been vacant for 3 months. I'm really hoping that it works out. Airbnb gives you an estimate of what they think your place could bring in, and Airbnb even estimates that I'll be able to bring in $4,800. My friend brings in $5,000 to $8,000. I was renting it for $2,150 a month. So if I'm even able to get $3,500 or $4,000 a month on the low end of the estimates, I'm still nearly doubling what I was getting as a long-term rental. So I'll be real happy if we can get into the $4,000 to $5,000 range. If it does that well, I'll probably move out of the other side of my duplex and go with an 80s themed or maybe early 2000s themed. And we'll do something over there and see if I can rent that one out as well. I still have yet to add the patio furniture and the hot tub, but I'm going to get it listed before that because that's stuff that I'm going to add as time goes on. And I'm curious to see how it goes. I've self-managed this thing since day one, and the way that I've got it set up right now, I will be doing the cleaning myself, not hiring a maid service, at least for the first month or two. If it ends up crashing and burning and it's not successful and I lose money on it, then obviously I'm not going to pay a maid service and put extra salt in the wound. But if it ends up being very successful and it's getting booked all the time and I don't have the time to clean it, then I'll quickly hire a maid service so that I can make sure this place gets turned over and looking good as quickly as possible. Anyways, guys, if you got any questions, leave them down below. Hopefully this video was interesting, beneficial. As always, I'm trying to document the journey of what it took to become a successful real estate investor. My first video was me with no properties. And now, years later, I've got 15 units in 3 different states. I'm starting my first Airbnb, been managing long-term rentals for a long time. So thanks for being here. Thanks always for watching, and we'll catch you next time.